Anderson Detector Shafts is one of the largest manufacturers of aftermarket detector parts. They've been making metal detecting accessories for almost 20 years. They specialize in shafts and lower rods. Make sure you go check them out at www.andersondetectorshafts.com. Are you in the market for a new detecting shovel? Look no further. Predator Tools has the best digging tools in my opinion. They are made in America out of USA certified steel. Right now, I'm using the Model 24 Phoenix, and I love it. It's amazing. So make sure you go check them out at www.predatortools.com. And if you are looking to buy or sell World War II helmets, get in touch with George Lesh at Predator Tools. I would like to thank the Facebook group Everything Fun and Collectible for the great prizes they donated to our show for us to give away to you guys. So make sure you go check them out and show your support. So once again, that was Everything Fun and Collectible on Facebook. And last but not least, we have Calico. When you're on, make sure you go check them out. And when making a purchase, use the discount code Matty, M-A-T-T-Y, in all capitals or all lowercase to get a discount on your next purchase. Once again, that was www.kellyco.com. Make sure you all check them out. After the show, of course. Hey guys, it's Matty here, and welcome back to the Digging with Matty live show. Tonight's guest is the head of Garrett Marketing. Is the head of marketing at Garrett. He is also an author and a seasoned detectorist. Please welcome Steve. Hold on. Steve Moore.
All right, Matty, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Unmute him.
Can you hear him? Talk to him.
Well, he has.
It might come through your mic.
Hello there. How's it going?
Doing great. How you guys doing tonight?
It's going good over here. Yeah. So do you want to go over the giveaways real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go over the giveaways. So for tonight, our giveaways are. Our first giveaway is going to be a Digging with Matty patch. Our second giveaway is going to be the new successful coin hunting by Charles Garrett. And then our third giveaway for the night will be a Garrett Edge Digger. Those are some pretty good looking prizes we got up there. Right, Dad? Alright. So, have you been detecting? Have you gone out detecting lately?
Yeah, we just went out a few days ago. In fact, we put up a video on our YouTube channel for Garrett. We did a little bit of relic hunting, and we took one of our newest people from our marketing department out, a girl named Kelsey.
Nice.
She's doing our social media, and she took out the Ace 400. And believe it or not, she got an Oklahoma tax token on her first time out detecting. So pretty good.
Nice. If I'm being honest, I have no idea what an Oklahoma tax token is.
Well, in some of the early days, 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of places they would use tokens for legal trade for food or merchandise instead of actual cash money. So you can find saloon tokens, you can find ones from different states or from different general stores. So a lot of people like to find tokens, and they're pretty collectible. They're cool.
Ah, nice. Now I want to find one of those. How long have you been metal detecting for?
The first time I tried it, my cousin had one. It was back in somewhere in the 1980s, and I just played around with it a little bit. It wasn't anything I ever got into. So it was when I went to work for Garrett, beginning early 2006. So about 14 years, I guess, I've really been at it, so to speak.
Ah, nice. 14 years. I think I've been detecting for around about half the time, like 8 years or so.
Yeah, but you live in a pretty good area of the country where you can find a lot of good stuff. So you just have to keep after it, don't you?
Yeah, over here there's a lot of, Revolutionary War action when the British were advancing through New Jersey and New York until the Americans were like, "Hey, the French, you want to help us?" And they're like, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah, you got a lot of history over there. People have lived in your part of the world longer than most of Texas, I'd say.
Yeah,
So we got an advantage to find a lot more cool old coins out there and stuff.
yeah. Over here, it's like stuff we'll find old stuff from like 1700s. Over in Texas, you might find like stuff from the Mexican American War and stuff.
Yeah, you can. There's a few pockets where you can find some really old stuff. I mean, there were Spanish settlers here, but Texas wasn't widely populated until, let's say, around the 1830s, 1820s.
Yeah,
There were people before that, but you had many more people where you live, so your chances are better there of finding old stuff.
yeah. And we're also right near New York, which was like one of the first major places in the Americas. So yeah,
Absolutely. You got the colonies up there. You've got all kinds of early settlements. So lots of cool stuff. I mean, when I go travel and detect, going up to the East Coast, up to the Northeast, that's always a treat,
yeah. So what was your first metal detector?
Um, as far as having one, I think I started out learning with the Ace 250, if I recall right. Over the years, I've pretty much used all the Garretts. I've used some of the old vintage ones. Anything we've had in the lineup for sale, I've hunted with it a number of times so I can get familiar with it. But that was a good machine to learn with the Ace because you could notch out targets. You could see on the display, where the notch might have hit if it was a certain kind of coin.
Yeah,
It was a good one to learn with.
yeah. And what machine are you using right now?
For the most part, I'll use AT Max. That's my favorite right now. If I go to a really bad mineralized place, I'll go with the ATX where you need to use a pulse machine.
Yeah,
But I'll bounce around. I mean, not too long back, I hunted with an Ace 300, hunted with an Ace 400. I don't necessarily get hung up on one forever. So I try to stay kind of fresh on the different things that we carry that we sell.
yeah. Right now, I'm mainly sticking to like one machine, but like I intend to use some of the other machines I have out here in the house, just lying around gaining dust.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for picking a machine and getting real familiar with the sounds it makes, the information it gives you. But, then once in a while it's fun to switch to something different and just change it up a little bit.
Yeah. So what kind of detecting do you like the most? Like, like do you like detecting on the beach, like farm fields and stuff? What kind
I'd probably say first love would be relic hunting. I'm a kind of a history buff, so I like to find old history out there. But when you're digging for that history, I certainly want to find old coins. So if we can get into an old house site and find some old silver coins, I mean, that's awesome. But battlefields or skirmish sites, I, I kind of I'm one with nature. So if I'm just tromping through the woods and searching for hours, I'm kind of at peace. Put the phone off and just go hunt. Just whatever you find, you find.
yeah. Like the one time I went out detecting, I found that was the time I found my what's it called? My 2 real, and I was
Very
just
nice.
very calm, and I didn't find anything else that day.
We don't find as many around here, but I've found a few reals. And some of those, some of the guys kid me because we'll go to a place and they'll kind of get in a spot and really start searching and work in an area. And I tend to just kind of go all over the place, just through the fields, through the woods, along the creeks. And I've got a few of my things here. That's actually where I found, my big 8 real.
Oh,
This was in Missouri. It's 1830. But if I'd have just stayed where we were all hunting around this old fort site, I might not have found as much. So I
yeah,
ended up going through the creek, and it was maybe a half mile away out near the edge of this field. Just a big signal, and boom, pull it up, and Thought I had a silver dollar at first, but probably even better, a big Mexican 8 real.
Yeah. So we have a few questions from some viewers. Um,
All right.
on this little thing. It says, "What machine do you use in the water?"
If it's going to be shallow water, I would use AT Pro, AT Gold, AT Max. I've used all three of those. If it's going to be deep diving, scuba diving, I go with the Sea Hunter. I've done a couple of shipwrecks with that.
Ah.
Uh, I kind of prefer the rivers and shallow hunting. I've got to go with Dan Frezza and Bo Weemet, the Aqua Chigger, several times, and they taught me a lot about hunting in the water and what to discriminate and what not to and how that works. So if you're only neck deep or 7, 8, 9, 10 feet deep, AT Max or AT Pro, any of those are great. Put the small coil on there, collapse it down, and just really kind of work through the rocks. Um, so it depends on what it is. If I'm going to go in the salt water and go deep, then I'm of course not going to use a Pro or a Max.
Yeah. And yeah, when you're like in the water, you want to use something appropriate for how deep you're going and stuff.
Right.
And our next question is huh?
LB Neal.
LB Neal wants to know has ha have you ever used a non-Garrett detector?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. In fact, being in marketing, that's part of what we do. Is we go to hunts and we go to rallies and we talk to people. They'll tell us what do they like or dislike about a Garrett or what do they want to see next. So if somebody else comes out with a new machine, what do? We go out and test it. So
Yeah.
I've tested several competitive machines in the past couple of months, and I'm not one to really down talk the competition and all that. Everybody's got
Yeah.
the right to like what they like and hunt with what they hunt with.
Yeah.
But I want to know why they like something or what features they think are really good on something else.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to try something out once in a while. But of course, my first loyalty is Garrett, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do occasionally use other stuff.
Yeah. On our show, we don't go like, "Oh, I don't like this detector," or "Oh, this detector's great." No, we don't do that on the show. All detectors are good in their own way.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not a really good machine, typically that company's not going to stick around for a long time. Charles Garrett had a lot of competition when he started this company. A lot of those companies have gone over the years. There's several of them that are still out there that have been there as long as us. There's some that have come on since then. But if you're putting out good quality stuff and people like what you're doing, that makes the difference.
Yeah.
The junky stuff, the clone stuff, that's not going to stick around. That's not going to last long.
Yeah, like if you attach a magnet to it, they can say, "Oh, yo, I got a detector." No.
Yeah, just put a pinpointer on a stick and walk through the woods and see what you find, right?
That'd be a pretty interesting idea for a show or not like a video.
Yeah. Just don't hope, not going to dig anything really deep, but you'll find some stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I know a guy that did that one time, went to the beach and he couldn't take a metal detector, so he put a pinpointer on a pole and just pulled it around through the sand. And he dug a bunch of coins and I think some jewelry, but it's different at the beach.
Ah. Yeah.
I do like to hunt the beach periodically. Usually like once a year around March with whatever kids I've got home at the time. We'll go down and drive down to Florida and stay down there for a week or 4 or 5 days. And so for me, that's relaxing just to get out and work the sand and work the shallow water. And a lot of times I'll get out there before daybreak when nobody else is out there and just, be one with, the wind, the surf, and see what you find.
Yeah. When you get out there early over here in New Jersey, sometimes you get out there like really early. Thing is, you get out there, there's still like 50 people somehow on the beach at like 12 o'clock in the morning. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's funny how you run into people. Brian and I from Garrett were down in Galveston one time filming something with an ATX or some machine. There's one dude on the beach, this older guy, and we look and we finally go down there. And of course, he's running to Garrett and we start talking, and he'd been hunting with our stuff for years. And another time in Florida, I see a guy out there searching, and turns out his kid was a dealer and sold Garrett and two or three other brands. And you go up and talk to people. Most people in general are pretty nice. The treasure hunters. I'm sure you got exceptions, but most people I run into are pretty good people.
Yeah. It's always nice to see people, but when like you can't detect on the beach, it's like, sometimes I wish there was less people. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. It's nice to see people, and sometimes people can also, yeah, never mind. Just
Yeah, I found it's better to go early in the morning. That's kind of what I prefer. My daughter and I were out there one time hunting after dark on a certain beach down there, and ended up a bunch of guys that had had a few too many were out there, and they were kind of not the nicest of people, so it wasn't a good scene. So I'd rather just avoid that, not have
yeah.
people up in. I'd rather just be one and just enjoy my time.
Yeah. Detecting is a hobby that's supposed to make you feel happy.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah. So, what is the, well, what's your most favorite place that you've ever detected?
Man, that's a good question. I've got to travel a bit with Garrett and go to some rallies overseas. We got to go to Slovenia last year, which was a country I'd probably never thought I'd visit in my
Oh,
life.
nice. It's like right next to Italy, right?
It's not too far from there, near Croatia and several other countries, near the Alps and things like that.
Yeah.
I enjoy England a lot. A lot of good people over there. Tons of farmland to search, and they have good laws there. That kind of benefits the hunter as well as the people that own the land.
Yeah.
So I think they do a good job with stuff there. Here in the States, favorite places to hunt probably would be something tied into history from like my ancestors. I've done some Texas Ranger and Indian battlefields, the Battle of San Jacinto battlefield.
Ah.
We did that with the Texas Parks and Wildlife people. So, what you find, you're turning over to archaeologists and you're working with the team. But knowing that my great 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 grandpa was there and fought in the battle, you're finding musket balls and stuff that, hey, maybe he shot that thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind
Also, really quickly, howdy KG, how's it going?
of, oh no, KG. Now I'm scared.
No, don't be scared.
Now's a good time.
Only I'm allowed to be scared. Huh?
Now's a good time to ask who's your favorite.
Oh yeah. So, um, wait.
One that says who's your favorite
Oh.
team character.
So I'm not the person to, cause trouble or anything.
What you're about to.
But who is your favorite Garrett team member?
Oh, KG's on right now?
Yes.
Oh, Bringy for sure. Bringy and I, we go way back. KG, once in a while, I'll get with him and try to show him how to keep the coil down to the soil. But he doesn't listen well, He's always talking. Ask him about last July 4th when we came to his place to hang out. I think I got the best of him, but he may not want to remember that. So, yeah, Bringy for sure. Yeah.
I see you did there.
I'm going to pay for this one.
Yeah. We're in the other room making up the questions, and it was just we were making up so many funny scenarios of what could happen with this question.
Right.
um. Oh, we have more questions from people. This one?
No, the other one.
Okay. So this one says, if you could detect with anyone in the world, who would it be? I don't think that was from someone.
That's a good question. Probably the logical answer would be to go to somebody that's out there that's kind of famous. I would want to go detect with my dad.
Ah.
He and I had a lot of hobbies we did together. Guns, shooting, scuba diving. He took on a lot of hobbies and he got real passionate about all that stuff. But he died before I went to work for Garrett. But I know he was into motorcycles and everything outdoorsy, and he would work with me on history projects. So if he was around, I could see us like going to some old places and just going out in the middle of nowhere and searching. And I think the detecting would have been something he would have really gotten into. So not somebody that's here, but that would be who I would probably pick.
Yeah. May he may he rest in peace.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's been gone quite a while, about 15 years, but he would have enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah. So huh. Let me just,
Wait.
I think
Oh,
I'm
don't look at it. Let's find the next question.
so what is your favorite find?
Favorite find? Good question. There's always stuff on the bucket list that you want to find. This past year, I finally marked off a seated dime. That was a good one. Where I am, it's a little harder to find some of those really old coins like that. I did drop out a couple things here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but here's a couple things I enjoyed finding: this old powder flask, and then a Civil War spur.
Ah.
I don't know if I'd necessarily say that was my favorite, but we were out with the Hoover boys one time, and I finally got the monkey off my back and found a U.S. plate that'd
Nice.
been looking for a long time. And then Kurt and Bob and Bill actually all found one the same day, so we had a big day there. That was probably one of my favorite days detecting when four of us all hit something really good.
Yeah.
Uh, Different things on different trips, but some of those old relics like that mean a lot to me. I love silver coins. Don't get me wrong, but I like the Civil War period and the Rev War period too. You know.
Yeah. When you go up north more, you get more Revolutionary War stuff. Well, when you go like over here to the east, the more southern you go, to like the Texas area, you get more Civil War stuff.
Yeah, you get down to Louisiana and Mississippi and places like that. There's a lot of good Civil War pockets. There's a little bit in Texas, but you kind of have to know where to go to find where the Civil War was
Yeah.
or where the troops mustered and stuff like that. I found a infield, bullet about a month ago or so on a farm here in Texas, but you don't find them as often as you guys would up that way where you are.
Yeah. So now what's your oldest find?
Um, it's going to have to be probably something Roman. 2,000 years. Found some coins over in England
Ah.
that date back about the time of Christ. Something that you could actually put a date on. Not that I could, but some of the guys with me knew what it was, and we that would probably be around 2,000. I'd say is one of my older things.
Nice. That is pretty old. I think my
Yeah.
dad's oldest find like ever was when we went out there to like for detective all. He found a one of those medieval I believe it was called a light strike. Was that your oldest find?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they used it to start the fires.
Okay. Very cool.
My oldest find while I was out there was a 1700s button. And then I went
Yeah.
over to the stand and the guy said it was 1800s. I'm not so sure if he was correct or not, but when I compare it to my 1700s buttons, it looks pretty similar. Similar.
Right. And it's funny over there because in England they find that stuff so routinely all the time. It's just not that big a deal. And I did the detectable. I think it was the year before. And I found a little Roman coin. Went
Ooh.
over to the fine tent to show the officers there where you do your turn-ins. And he's just like, it's just a Roman coin, whatever. It's only thousand some odd years old.
Yeah.
Wasn't special at all to him.
Yeah, to people over here in the USA that haven't gone out of country, it's like, and like found those old stuff, it's like, it's only a few thousand years old. What do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all for us. They get spoiled over there.
Yeah. Darn Europeans. There's nothing against you guys.
What's the oldest thing you found, Matty?
Ooh. The oldest thing I've ever found is a 1774 2 real. But
Oh, very nice.
but if you're talking about like all of my hobbies overall, let's just say I have a bit of a thing that's like I don't know, a couple years older than your Roman coin by like a few million years.
Drew's watching too.
Oh,
Oh
so you're
yeah,
talking maybe some
yeah. I
fossils?
found a 70 million year old fossilized lobster while I was out sifting for shark teeth.
Oh,
Yeah,
very good.
while I
Well,
was out with
yeah,
Drew.
I have some fossils too, but I wasn't counting that because it wasn't with the metal detector. But that's a whole nother sport or hobby to go searching for
Yeah,
shark's teeth and all kinds of stuff like that. So
yeah.
that would have to be the oldest thing I've ever found, I guess.
I
I
was
wouldn't think.
I was out doing shark tooth hunting with Drew Waholic, and I find it. I think it's just a rock, so I put it on like one of the trees, like right next to it, because there's the creek and there was a tree that had fallen over, and it just went across.
Yeah,
So we were putting all our stuff on the tree. I put it there. He walks over and he looks at it and like, I thought it was just rock. He goes, oh my, oh. He's like all freaking out. I'm like, are you okay, man?
yeah. I think Drew knows his
Yeah.
fossils, doesn't he?
And then like after he's done geeking out about mine, 10 minutes later he finds one.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's like, ooh. He's like all geeking out again.
Yeah, Rusty Curry is a big fossil hunter that I work with. He's a big relic hunter, and he's taken me down on some rivers. So we've come up with some big fossils that I bring back and put in a flower bed or something like that. So it's cool. It's a different type of searching for sure.
Yeah.
Quarter Hunter said you did a terrible Drew impression.
I wasn't trying to do a Drew impression, was I? I was? Oh. Quarter Hoarder said I have a terrible Drew impression.
Have to work on that, I guess, or get with the master and learn from him.
Yeah.
Drew's pretty good at doing Drew.
Yeah. I think Drew's
Yeah,
pretty good at doing a Drew impression. That sounds like a pretty good guess.
yeah.
Let's do a giveaway.
You know what? Let's do a giveaway. Let's give away probably the best thing on this list of digging with Matty Patch. A one of a kind. Bring over the big red bucket. Shake it up a little bit. The winner of the contest. The winner is Daniel McDonald. You seem to know who that is. Do you?
Pop Can Dan.
Oh, Pop Can Dan.
Is he there?
Are you here, Pop Can Dan? For those of you who don't know, that's a pretty good friend of DJ Dowling.
Oh, there he is.
Let me just adjust myself real quick. Oh, congratulations, Pop Can Dan. Get your information out to us and we will send out the patch to you. Congratulations.
He said, did you have a squirrel on your head that decided to leave?
Who said that?
Who said that? Alright, just because I get my hair shaved doesn't mean there was a giant squirrel that decided to leave, alright?
Somebody won.
This is what you win. This is what you won. Just because of that, I might decide to just draw a marker all over it now. Don't worry, I'm not that mischievous. Anyways, do you do well, you said, well, do you do scuba diving and metal detect?
Yeah, I've done some of that. Not as much as I'd like, but I've done a couple of wrecks. Got buddy Steve Zazulik and his friend Ryan Fazekas up there on the kind of border of New York and Canada. Gone out there a couple summers with them and done some diving out there around the big lakes and all that.
Ah,
Those guys, you've probably seen some of their stuff. Steve just put out a ring finders book. They find tremendous jewelry, lots of old coins. KG and Ringy went up there with me one summer,
ah,
did some scuba dives out there. And it was cool because it was shallow enough, like 10, 12, 15 feet, where we could use the AT Max and not have to go with the full PI machine.
yeah.
We did pretty good. Found, some jewelry, tons of coins. I'd like to do more of that, but yeah, it's something I enjoy every once in a while.
Ah, nice. And What's your best underwater find?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Got Civil War bullets, some buttons, a lot of coins. I found a few rings in the shallow water. Not real deep. I'm trying to think if there's anything just tremendous. A lot of my stuff's just kind of run of the mill coins and basic jewelry. Probably like a gold man's wedding band, but
Huh?
nothing super fancy.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
what my dad's best underwater find is. um,
Should we ask?
you can ask him if you want. Never mind. What kind of scoop do you use?
We've got several long-handled scoops at the office, and I just take one of those with me if I'm going to the beach. You've got some of the handhelds if you're swimming along and using that. But if I go with Bo or Dan or some of those guys to the river, usually you're kind of fanning the bottom with your hand or kind of digging with your gloves.
Yeah.
In the lakes or in the ocean, you use a scoop a lot of times there.
Yeah.
Uh, Brand name, I don't even know if these don't even have brand names on them. They're just stuff we bought over the years. Sorry, I can't plug anybody. I don't know the brand name of the scoop that I use. Pretty bad.
Ah. Hmm. Um, what what precautions do you take when water detecting?
Again, I've learned a lot from some of the guys I've been out with. Shallow water hunting in the rivers, it can be real slippery and slimy. Some of those green rocks. So learn to get some of the little boots that have the felt on the bottom of them. Kind of keeps your footing on there. Definitely, I wear gloves to protect my fingers.
Yeah.
Not just getting cuts on there, but when you're underwater for a long time, your skin gets really soft, and just brushing against a rough rock could make a cut on it. Then
Yeah.
you're picking up metal with it. So protect your feet, protect your hands. Uh, be aware of what's around you in the water at all times. And obviously, it's always best to have somebody with you.
Yeah.
Things things can happen if something does. You got a buddy with you to get you out of a jam, or you get your foot stuck, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. Me and my dad, we went over it. We go out metal detecting when we go out water metal detecting in the winter, we'll wear waders, 'cause it keeps a lot of the because you're not touching the water then.
Yeah,
Thing is, a good precaution is to not go with waders on when it's pretty wavy.
yeah.
'Cause
You fill the water up with water, all of a sudden you're in trouble, right?
what happened was I was at the time not as tall as I am now. And I decided to go out a little further than usual. Went out and a
Right.
big wave came in, woof, right inside, and I was soaked and I was freezing.
And you got about 50 pounds of water all of a sudden inside you, right?
Well, it wasn't like a lot of water. But it was enough to soak me, and my feet were frozen the entire time then.
Yeah, that's one thing about cold weather hunting. I like the woods in the wintertime because, here in Texas, we've got snakes, spiders, ticks, ants. And I got bit by a brown recluse when I was a kid, and it made some big holes in my leg. And I'm not a big fan of spiders in the woods when you walk through those spider webs that get on your
Yeah.
face. I love the wintertime when nothing's out there.
Mhm.
But then if you get snow or moisture that comes down, you're digging in all that snow and you get underneath it, then you get muddy and your fingers kind of get frozen by the end of the day. So
Yeah.
getting your waders full of water when you get freezing cold fingertips, that kind of makes for a long day.
Yeah. I remember I um I was one of those kids that for the longest time didn't know how to tie their shoes until fourth grade.
Yesterday.
Right?
No- I'm gonna ignore that comment from my dad
Yeah.
until yesterday. So my boots were not tied properly, and a bunch of snow got in them, and so I'm walking around like this with snow in my boots, and it's like Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like being super cold and miserable out there and knowing that you still got half a day to hunt. So
Yeah.
bring along what you need, like the little hand warmer things. You can drop those in your boot or drop them in your hands
Yeah.
in your gloves.
You want to know a good tip of advice for hand warmers? If
What's
you
that?
get them wet, they're useless. I was at a
All right.
football game once and my mom brought out the hand warmers and it was raining out and it's like really cold out and everyone's like, "Yay, hand warmers." They worked for a little bit and then when you walk out from underneath the tent, they stop.
Oh.
And it's like, "I think something's wrong with your hand warmers, Matthew." And it's like, "Huh? Yeah, you're not supposed to get them wet, but that's a good tip of advice."
Well, you're like me. I guess you learn everything the hard way, right?
Yep.
School of hard knocks.
One thing I learned the hard way was that when you decide to like walk forward and push open a door at the school, to not touch the window part.
Did you break it?
2 this year.
Okay.
And
That gets expensive.
yeah. Anyways, what do you take out with you? What do you take with you when you go out detecting? Like besides like a detector and a shovel and the obvious.
Yeah, if I'm going to go to a rally or a DIV or just go detecting or one of those all day events, I'll take a small like day pack and I'll have several bottles of water in there. Probably a sandwich I get that morning. Maybe an extra coil if I get up on an old site and I want to put on a small coil to work through all the iron. Uh, Maybe an extra pair of gloves in case I get my hands wet or I rip a pair.
Ah.
Usually some kind of keeper box of some sort that I can put a good coin into. I just throw stuff in the pouch for a while, but then if you get something real good, you either want like a film canister or a pill bottle or something with some cotton in it. If you find a gold button or something really delicate. So I'll have a bunch of different stuff in my bag, but I try to go toilet paper too. Always be prepared. You try to go prepared so you can be in the woods the whole day if
Yeah.
you're having a day or really finding stuff.
Yeah. You wanna always be prepared. Like that one song from what's it called? Lion King.
Yep.
Um.
For the Scouts motto, my son's in Scouts, and they teach him be prepared. I was a Scout a long time ago too, so
Ah.
uh, anything can happen out there. A rain jacket. You get out there and there's a chance of rain. All of a sudden you're soaking wet. So
Yeah.
be as prepared as you can.
Mhm. One thing you can't be prepared for though is that you bend back the person in front of you bends back the branch to go forward and forgets you behind them right in the face when they let it.
Right in the face. Yeah, I've come back many a time with a little bit of blood loss from the stickers and from the tree limbs hitting you. That's just part of the game when you're doing
Yeah.
the forest and the relic hunting stuff.
Yeah. The one time that happened to me and I fell over and I was like, yeah. So do you have any advice for beginners to the hobby?
Yeah, if you can get out there with somebody that's been doing it a while that can give you some good practical advice.
Yeah.
Falling back to stuff Charles Garrett told me a long time ago and what he wrote in his books. Get a machine, spend a lot of time on a machine. He would say 10 hours to 100 hours, and especially during the first 10 or 20 hours. And he said, dig everything you hear, even if it starts to sound like junk after an hour or two. The more you dig, the more you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Uh, when you've been doing this for a while, you'll learn sometimes a scratchy kind of bad signal turns out to be something really good.
Yeah.
What's that? Well, you might find trash beside it. You might find some minerals in the ground or whatever. So, dig a lot when you're learning. Put the time in. And like I said, if you can go with somebody that's a veteran that's been doing it a while, they'll probably give you a lot of good practical advice and help you get better quicker.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like hunting or fishing. When I was a kid doing that, you get bored with it pretty quick. But when you get that first really good thing, then it kind of sets in. You're like, oh man, now I'm hooked on this.
Yeah,
So stick with it long enough till you find something really good, I'd say.
yeah. Like when I started detecting, I had my dad who helped me learn, and at the time he's been detecting for like 20 years.
Well, there you go. I mean, you had the best coach you could have right there, somebody that knew good stuff from bad stuff and
Yeah,
had been doing it a while. So that made a huge difference for you, I'm sure.
yeah. I wouldn't be right here without him. Plus, he's the
Yeah.
one with all the detectors.
And we try to do that when we're teaching kids or take somebody out. We try to help them get to a spot where they could find something good,
Yeah,
and maybe listen to a few things. Go, hey, come listen to this. Bring your machine over here. Give them a few targets to dig, and when they get that one or two good things, then they kind of get more excited about it.
yeah. Like a friend of mine, he's getting interested in and he's getting interested into detecting. He wants to do it. Thing is, he he just wants to like know stuff about it right now. He's not like, oh, I want to like jump right into it right now. I'm slowly going, hey, look at this really old coin I found. You could find this too if you got a detector.
There you go. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
So we're going to do another giveaway. Wait, I just gave you both notebooks. This giveaway the is the new successful coin hunting book by Charles Garrett. Gonna take our mystical red buckets of fortune. I've learned from hard times that if you shake this bucket too hard, tickets tend to fly away.
Hey, tell Drew Waholic to quit texting me. We're doing a show here.
Yeah, Drew, stop texting him. He's doing a show. Daniel Blizzard, are you here? That's a cool name, Daniel Blizzard.
One Z or two.
Two Z's. Daniel Blizzard. You know what's something I don't like during the winter?
Ooh.
Blizzards.
Hey, we had snow here in Texas Saturday morning, believe it or not.
Wow, we haven't had snow in like a lot at all. Congratulations, Daniel Blizzard. Get your information out to us and we will send out your prize. Seems like over here we're getting a lot less snow than like other states. It was like 70 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, it's nice today. I got up like in the 50s, but it snowed like crazy Saturday morning, and then by afternoon it was all melted off. So that's Texas for you.
Yeah. Everything's bigger in Texas, they say. Is that correct?
That's what they say.
So, do you have any funny or scary stories that happened while detecting that you'd like to tell us about?
Oh gosh, there's always something funny. We get on these road trips, and just we end up in the wrong places or missing flights, or all the travel stories we could tell. But I kind of like making my own humor out there. We were doing a river hunt one time, and I remember there like this big giant bluff that came down, and all these cows came down out of the field, were drinking out of the water. So I got one of the guys to get the camera, and I popped the snorkel in my mouth and went underwater, swam up as close to the cow as I could, and popped up,
And scared it?
took off running, and one of the guys wasn't real happy. He's like, "Man, you can't scare the farmers' cows." And I'm like, "But I'm just dying laughing. Like, look at them run. I don't know, just stupid stuff like that. I mean, we play pranks on each other on detecting trips. Um, don't ever leave your phone laying around if you're with KG and Ringy or those
They're gonna
guys.
take it?
And there'll be about 500 photos on there that
Uh,
you don't see.
whenever
There's,
whenever someone like asks me to take a picture of them, I'll go over,
yeah,
take like the pictures of them, then I'll put it on reverse so it's facing me and take a picture of me smiling.
yeah. You said take a picture of me, so I did. Right. Scary stuff. With me, it always ends up snakes can get around me somehow. I've had
Yeah.
several incidents where I've had them come up on me and spook me in the woods. I was digging one thing real good, just really getting into it. And I turn around and look. There's a big snake, like a foot away, just coiled up, just looking at me.
Mm,
And I backed away as quick as I could. And he didn't strike, but scared the daylights out of me for a minute there.
yeah. Out here, my dad he doesn't like snakes more than the average person doesn't like a snake. Like, I'm not gonna say anything like, I'm not gonna like make fun of it, but we were out detecting and he like freaked out. It was a worm, a really big worm.
It was a worm snake.
It was a worm snake. That's what it was called.
We had one of those one time. Our friend Melvin in South Carolina, he's like deathly afraid of snakes. There's a lot of pine straw, and we were digging at something,
Hmm.
and a big old lizard came running out, and he just screamed, and he just said, "Blankety blankety blank lizard," We're dying laughing.
Oh no.
He thought for sure a big snake had him.
Yeah. Oh, oh. So this question we ask everyone that comes along and happens to stumble upon our little humble show.
All
And
right.
this is the hardest question that we ask them.
Uh-oh.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you like pizza?
I love pizza.
Alright, no internet connection will be lost today. Well,
I worked at a pizza place. That was my first job, really, besides mowing yards, was working at a pizza place. So, yeah, I can handle pizza.
ah. Um, Also, what's your opinion on pineapple pizza?
It's okay if you put some ham and pepperoni and jalapenos and mushrooms with it. Maybe not.
Oh
You
no.
about to get sick.
Oh no, the internet. It just went down to 2 bars. Oh no.
Oh, God, see ya.
Oh no. Don't worry. So, now I heard you wrote books, right?
I've done a few over the years. Yeah, I've been writing books for about 25 years, I guess.
Ah. And do you know how many you wrote?
This year, number 20 will come out.
Ah, number 20 will come out this year.
Yeah.
Nice. So, what are your books mostly about?
Kind of a mixture. I do a lot of World War II and military history. Uh, that was my first one. Was some guys I knew. I helped them put together their squadron history. They flew off the aircraft carriers in World War II, and I like to write. I did a lot of journalism when I was younger and in school,
Ah.
so I helped them put that book together. And then I did some on my ancestor, who was a Texas Ranger captain in the 1830s. And it just one thing led to another, doing more books on the Rangers, more books on Texas, and a lot of military history over the years.
Ah.
I brought a couple since you asked me to. This Texas Rising is about the Texas Rangers and the Texas Revolution.
Ah.
They did a mini series on History Channel, and history guys asked me to come along and help write the book that went along with it, kind of the companion book.
Ah, nice.
As far as metal detecting, I've done a few for Garrett. Relic Quest is one. Talk about not only what types of coils, what kind of machines you can use, but how to do research, how to be prepared when you go to the field. Even some stories about snakes, how to tell a good one from a bad one.
Ah.
Things I learned as a kid from my
I believe
grandpa.
if a snake is like red and black, it's those ones are or aren't.
I think they say red and yellow kill a fellow, red and black friend of Jack, or something like that.
Yeah.
There's on the tail of the snake. If you were to turn it over, they have bands below their little anal vent, and they're either two bands that come together or single bands, and that's one way you can tell if they're poisonous or non-poisonous.
Ah.
And I think there's only one exception to that rule. And everybody says, look at the shape of the head, look at the shape of the eyes. That's one of about 4 ways that you can tell whether a snake's poisonous or non-poisonous. So
Yeah.
I put a few little practical things in the book like that. just trivial stuff.
There you go, Dad.
I don't want to get close enough to find out.
Yeah, but yeah, writing is one of my passions. Garrett's my job doing marketing and advertising, but I get to do a little writing with the company.
Yeah.
But I also still work on the military books on the side. So I've got one on World War II that'll probably come out October or somewhere like that.
Ah.
Um, and it's an honor to get to meet these people and talk to them. Right now, the World War II guys are interviewed one this past year. He's 100 years old. Actually, he's 101 now.
Ah.
He was 100 when I met him. Some of them now are 98, 97. So they're not going to be here much longer.
Yeah.
And that's why I like getting their stories while I can and helping to preserve some of that history. Just like we're preserving history when we dig an old relic out of the ground before it has a chance to rot away back to nothing,
Yeah.
So that's probably why relic hunting is a little bit more, in tune with what I like to do. I love coins, but I love the history that comes with a good relic too,
Yeah. When it comes to World War II and World War I and the Cold War, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good on.
When we were doing one of our shows, we were trying to figure out questions to ask people for giveaways, and I was like, you know what? How about this? Whoever can guess when the Battle of Britain happens gets they can get a what's it called? The prize. No one guessed it out of the few years.
Nobody.
It was 1940.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Do I win? Do I win? Come on. Do I get money?
You know what?
Let me guess one of these.
You're not sure. You get this. We'll send that out to you.
Oh, all right. That's as good as gold.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
We'll wear Matty hat. I'll send one of those too.
If you're willing to wear a day with Matty hat, we can send you one of those as well.
There you
We
go.
have plenty. Yeah.
So are we going to run into you this year somewhere, New York, or one of these events, or what kind of big plans do you and your dad have for digging this year?
I'm not quite sure what our plans for digging this year are, because he makes all the plans.
Kind of have to play it by ear and see how it goes. I understand.
Yeah. He's also gonna be going on a new medication.
Best of luck to you. Best wishes with everything.
Yeah. So we don't know what that's gonna do for our plans.
Understand. Well, hopefully at some point, run into you out in the field.
Yeah.
Got to hang out with you guys a little bit this past fall. So hopefully down the road we'll run into each other again at some event.
Yeah. I'm hoping to have my own event one of these days this year.
Okay, that would be cool.
The Digging with Matty event. We don't have everything like set up yet. It's an idea that's floating around somewhere.
Well, you need to just bury a bunch of gold coins out there because I have one, so I need to dig my second one.
Yeah.
So I'll come to the Matty event if I can dig gold coins.
Okay. How do you decide on what subject you should write about?
It just depends. It has to be something that interests me. A lot of it with the Texas Rangers and the Revolution, I had great-great-grandpas and stuff that were in those battles, so it kind of got me interested. The one I'm finishing up right now is about the Kamikaze War off Okinawa. And a guy got a hold of me and said, hey, one of my buddies is a pilot from World War II. He wants one of your books autographed. And we started talking, and I just kind of fell into meeting these aces, these guys that shot down more than 5 enemy planes, and got to interview pretty much all the last living American aces that fought at the end of World War II. And so it was just, here they were, and all of a sudden I'm connected to all of them. So that book just kind of happened that way. I didn't go out and plan to write that one, but sometimes it's who you meet and what their story is. And they have a fascinating story of being in just the worst possible conflict, but shooting down the most planes in a certain amount of time. So
yeah. Here's a little fact about the World War that I'm pretty sure you already know, but hey. There was only one battle that ever happened in North America, and it was when Japan had invaded an island off near Alaska, and it was one of the first islands, one of the first, well, it had something special to the USA. So both the USA and Canada made a force to go take back the island. Both of the they both landed in two different spots, right? Here's the thing. The Japanese already left the island 2 weeks earlier. Both the
Very,
both of the um both groups meet and mistake each other for the Japanese and fire upon each other.
very interesting. Yeah, that's the cool thing about World War II is there's lots of these little known stories that that makes a good tale is doing the research and finding out that kind of stuff. I mean, that's cool that you enjoy history. I probably wasn't as big into history when I was a teenager, but I learned to like it more later
Yeah.
and got more of it later. So it is what you make of it. It can be boring or it can be really cool, and you get a good story like that. That makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do is write stories with a lot of first person accounts. What was this guy doing? What was he thinking? So it's not just boring pages you're reading through, but how this guy lived and survived what he had to go through in certain cases.
Yeah. So what do you do as the head of marketing for Garrett?
All kinds of stuff. Lots of meetings. We work on website. We work on catalogs. We work on print materials and pieces to send out for the sales force, owners manuals, videos, uh, talk to people like you, talk to YouTubers, go to rallies, go to hunts. We've got three different divisions. We've got the sport division with all the fun metal detectors and gold pans and 10 pointers. And then we've got a big security division. So we're talking with people that run football stadiums or churches or schools and doing pieces for them, or working with the military for the counter mine searching to find the remnants of war. So
Ah.
every different day, all kinds of different stuff. So marketing's a lot of different things. Sometimes it's just like today on the phone with a customer, answering a question, trying to help them out. Anything and everything.
Yeah. And do you plan like events for Garrett?
We do. Since Mr. Garrett passed away 5 or 6 years ago, we've had an annual Garrett detecting event. He had some back in the late 70s that were huge, had tons of people. In fact, one of them even gave away a pickup truck. So some of those are kind of legendary.
Oh.
But we're having our fourth annual Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt at the end of March. You can go to garrett.com. There's links on there to all the information. Still doing signups right now. We'll have a massive silver hunt, a massive relic hunt with Civil War artifacts and bullets and things like that.
Ah.
Kids hunt, a night hunt, some poker themed hunts with poker chip kind of things going on. So a lot of fun, and it just kind of supports what our founder was about, was kind of spreading the gospel of the fun of detecting and the sport of metal detecting,
Yeah.
teaching others to get into it. So yeah, we do. We work a lot with our dealers and distributors when they have a rally or a hunt, but we do put on one big one a year that we do ourselves.
Yeah. And if someone's not swinging a Garrett, are they still allowed to go to the event?
Yes, to the Charles Garrett hunt, you can bring whatever detector you want. There's no rules. You see all the different brands out there. A lot of people use the Garrett, of course, but I see other brands there, and nobody's turned away. In fact, we'll have some spares if the kids come out. We'll have a kids hunt on Saturday, help them with a machine, help them dig some jewelry or some coins, and seeing a little 5-year-old pick up something and get all excited. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all about.
Yeah. So hold on, I already asked that question. That one. So I'm not sure. Well, I'm sure you're not able to answer this question, but um is there any new products that you'll be able to tell us that'll be coming out?
Yeah, the stock answer is we're always working on projects, but our plan is we will announce something 2020. Can't really give you
Any
a
like,
time yet on that,
yeah,
but I would say just stay tuned. It's been a little bit since we've had a new metal detector, and I know a lot of people are looking for a lot of things. There's a lot of features that people are excited about, and other stuff that's out there. So
yeah,
we're definitely in tune with what goes on out there. And like I said, I run other machines, I test them out. The other guys in our group do the same thing because you need to know what's out there and be aware of what people like. Some of it's gimmicky, some of it works, so you want to stay up on what's out there. But yeah, we do plan on having something new for 2020. So
ah,
although I'll tell you about it today, I'll say stay tuned. Keep an eye on Garrett.
yeah,
We'll let you guys know as soon as we're ready. But yeah,
ah, alright. And, can you announce it on my show, when you are ready?
when we're ready to talk about it, I can tell more about it.
Okay,
Uh, I don't know that I'd be fair to say that I'll go on any one specific show
yeah,
and say worldwide exclusive on that.
yeah,
That's one of the things you talk about in marketing is when and where makes the most sense, and when you're ready to do what you're going to do. So that's some of what we do. We got to figure all that kind of stuff out. So I'd say hang on to that idea. We'll
yeah,
see.
that's fair. So, let's do our last giveaway. Our last giveaway is a Garrett Edge Digger. Let me just grab the mystical red buckets of, well, fortune. Shake it around a little bit. Pull out a name.
Who is it?
Steve Moore.
No.
Oh,
I'm not gonna say it yet. I'm not gonna say it yet. Not gonna say it.
Watch this.
You know he's here.
Let's see if he sees his name up there.
Let's see if he sees his name up there. I'm not even gonna say his name. I'm not even gonna say his name.
Say winner, winner, chicken dinner. See if he knows it.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Alright, now you can say it.
Okay. Louis Gagne, are you here? Louis Gagne. Congratulations, Louis Gagne.
On the digger, huh?
Yeah. Hey, it's Lou.
all right, Louie, go dig some silver.
It's Louis Gagne.
Said woohoo.
He said woohoo. So,
Wrap it up, we're gonna put
is there anything else that you want to talk about before we start to wrap up the show?
I think we've covered a lot. Obviously, anybody that wants to come down to Texas in the March, we're still doing signups. KG and Ring will be there. The Diggers boys, Gypsy from Zero Discrimination will be there. A lot of folks from Garrett, Rusty the Hunt Master, and all the other folks there that work with us so hard to put it on.
Yeah.
We have a good time. We have a blast down there. So come check us out with that. Tune into our Facebook and our Instagram, and be ready for the news that comes out this year. Yeah, and just best wishes to everybody out there for the new year. Hope everybody digs something really cool that's on your bucket list. I'm going to work on my bucket list. Going digging with a couple of buddies, several buddies this weekend over in the Virginia area. So hopefully we'll find a couple of goodies and be out at SHOT Show next week. So if anybody's out that way in Vegas going to the big shooting and hunting show, come check us out there.
Ah,
Yeah, best wishes to everybody this year. Thanks for everything.
nice. And real quickly, how do people get your books?
Most of them you can go to Amazon.com and check it out. I've got a website, StephenLMoore.com, StephenLMoore.com. You can find out information on there and contact me if you need something. But yeah, wherever you get them, wherever you buy your stuff, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. A few of my Garrett books, of course, are through Garrett. But wherever you buy your stuff, I'm probably there.
Nice. So thanks for being on my show. I really appreciate it. It was fun having you on.
I enjoyed it, Matty. Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you again one day out in the field.
Yeah, look forward. I look forward to that day.
All right. Hey, best of luck to your dad, your family, and everybody else. Pleasure being on with you guys. Be cool. Stay
Thanks.
real.
And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Next week on our show, we're gonna have Quarter Hoarder, and I think if when he comes on next week, he'll be on here the most out of anybody. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and get out and have a dig adventure.